community. And that's us. That's the Animal Welfare League in a hopefully quick and not too boring presentation. So, does anybody have any questions? Yes?
What sort of population you have each of the shelters? Just a rough number.
It's a good question because the shelters all vary. For example, the Gold Coast shelter, we have 30 kennels for dogs, and we have around about, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, I think it's eight pens for cats. And depending on the size of the dog, the breed of the dog, we can have up to about 4 dogs in one of the pens when they're smaller dogs, and up to 1 or 2 dogs per pen for the larger dogs. At any one given time here on the Gold Coast, we may have around about, say the 50 odd dog mark. And cats, the cats, depending on the cat's sociability skills and things along those lines, at any given time we may have 20 or 30 cats. We may have more. We may have, it really varies. So, and of course we have the Ipswich and the Beenleigh shelters up in Southland area as well, which they have different amounts of pens, and so it all varies. It's difficult to state. Yes.
You mentioned that you began as a volunteer.
Yes.
What does that involve?
Okay, so there are a number of different volunteers. I was a dog attendant volunteer. So for myself, my involvement was basically I would go there in the morning. I would then go through the dog kennels and clean them. Means that I'd poop scoop, wash out their water bowl, give it a good scrub, give them some fresh water. I would hose out the actual dog kennel. I would check their bedding, make sure their bedding's not ripped, torn, soiled. If need be, I would replace. If it were in good condition, then I would actually just refold and remake the bed for them to sleep in, and move on to the next kennel. Once all the kennels were cleaned, I would start then dog walking, which is basically where I'd take the dogs out to the exercise yard and spend 20 minutes with the dogs. Cat staff, similar thing. They will go through and they'll clean out the litter trays. They'll feed. It's actually much easier in the cat pens. If you can imagine, let's say 50 odd dogs in the kennel area all barking at the same time. It's quite noisy over there. You go into the cat pens and they just sit there nice and quiet. It's like, wow, this is a completely different world. We also have other volunteers that will do things such as the enrichment program, where they take the animals out to the beach. We have things like some of the volunteers will go around and pick up from the food donation bins, op shop workers, a whole range of different areas. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, you noticed that was it seasonal, whether surrenders and abandonments are seasonal, whether economic times or
economic times certainly hit. The main economic time of 2008 was pre myself. I wasn't a volunteer at that stage, so I can't comment on that. But certainly economic times do make a big difference, and it also makes a big difference to our situation financially and our ability to rehome, because a lot of people will turn around and they'll say, well, I can't afford a pet right now, so I'll surrender. And unfortunately, it also means that some people that might be looking to adopt a pet might say, I can't afford a pet right now, I'll adopt in a year's time. So it does make a big difference. Unfortunately, the animals don't know that we had and we're still in the tail end of the global financial crisis. They still turn up on our door, and we don't turn them away. So they do. It does certainly make a difference. Yeah.
What happens if somebody turns up with a chook?
Yeah, we have chicks. We have chooks. We have a couple of roosters there at the moment that are out there. We've had geese. We've had pigs. We've had goats. About the only one that we don't have are horses, because we don't have the space for horses, but there are other horse rescues. So if we had a horse come through, we would redirect that one. So, but we've had just about everything else. So
people just bring their small animals along to your clinic because I think just cats and dogs.
Oh, to the veterinary clinic. I don't know about the veterinary clinic. That's a good question. I've never actually asked that question, but I know that we treat birds. So I'd say that if someone rocked up with a chook, that's potentially that'd be okay. I've never really asked that question.
Do you rehome birds as well?
We do. We actually have a couple of roosters out there at the moment. So if anyone needs a rooster, let me know. We'll sort you out there. That's fine. But yeah, we do have some roosters and other birds out there. We get all sorts of things, cockatiels and whatnot as well. So. Yeah.
Yes. The foster program.
Yes.
You have a regular set of people that are doing that? Or?
We do. People will apply to be a foster carer, and we have regular foster carers that we will send out to. We have foster carers that we know are good for certain things. For example, we will have one foster carer which we know is great for the care of a mother cat or dog, but may not be the best foster carer in the aspect of bringing a dog or cat out of its shell. We'll have another foster carer that says, well, I don't have the time to spend taking care of a whole heap of puppies and kittens, but to be able to take a dog out for walks and take it to potentially to work with me if I have a pet-friendly office and so on along those lines, to bring that dog or cat out of a shell is a completely different area. So yeah, we do have a core area, but we're always looking for other foster carers. Yeah. Okay.
I was just going to say, all I can say on behalf of the greyhound community, my daughter in Darwin went to the Darwin pound and brought home a female ex-racing greyhound, and it is the best dog you'd ever want. The only problem is it does like a rather long walk.
Yeah, well actually that's actually quite odd. Most greyhounds only want about a 15-minute walk and they're done for the day. Yeah. Most greyhounds, I personally call them lightning fast couch potatoes, where they have the acceleration speed of a rocket, and then once they're done their dash, they get about a 15-minute energy spurt each day, and then all of a sudden they just go, and that's it, they're done for the day, and they just sit there on the couch watching TV.
I reckon you're about greyhounds. A lot of times you see greyhounds walking around with those muzzles. Right?
That's right, and they actually...
From eating stuff.
Well, the problem is the greyhounds, and I'm not 100% educated on this, so a lot of this is from my understanding, so if I do state something incorrect, please excuse me on this one. This is me, this is not a comment from the Animal Welfare League. But with the muzzles, the greyhounds are perceived as being prey aggressive because they're trained to chase a giant, like a little fluffy rabbit around a racetrack. So the fear is when they're out in the public is that they will see another smaller fluffy dog, mistake it for said rabbit, and go after it. So they have this muzzle. But the thing is that they're not like that. They are just these beautiful, placid creatures that look, my dog is only about this big, and she used to be fluffy until 2 days ago when my fiance decided to give it a trim. Now she has a fluffy head and fluffy legs and a shaved body. She's looking very strange. I had her in dog parks, and when she runs, I've even commented she looks like a rabbit. She just the way she runs and her body shape and everything like that. And she'd been in a park with greyhounds, and they've just looked at it and gone, okay, there you go, righto. And that's it. There's no aggression, they're fantastic creatures. Yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you, Bart. That was very, very interesting, actually. I was not aware of the difference between RSPCA and Animal Welfare League. I didn't realise that you didn't have an enforcement arm. So I guess I didn't know any of the differences, actually. So thank you very much. I'll probably be in touch about the volunteering side. It's not for myself, but for somebody else.
Okay.
I'd like to present you with this certificate of appreciation.
Thank you. We might step this way.
From our...
It's just here in front of there we go.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
And I'd also like to present you with this cheque
Fantastic.
from our Rotary Club towards the Animal Welfare League Queensland.
Do you want to float up
yeah.
the check as well? We might step this way around.
It's not one of those big ones.
No, we just get one of those.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in there, that's good. Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.